In this video, I discuss what went down between Fouad Abiad, the owner of Hosstile, and Justin Shier, former Hosstile athlete, at the 2023 Toronto Pro Super Show. What went down? Why did Fouad do this? Plus, are Hosstile athletes actually banned from appearing on Desktop Bodybuilding? All that in this video, plus much more. Hope you guys enjoy it. What's up, Desktoppers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and before we get into this video about Fouad Abiad and Justin Shier and what went down behind the scenes at the 2023 Toronto Pro Super Show, I want to encourage you guys, give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills, here at Desktop Bodybuilding. We've got Bodybuilding University, which is our podcast. The latest one was actually just recorded with myself. Also Stanimal Stan Delonju, Beef Stew, Stuart Sutherland, and Martin Fitzwater. So make sure you subscribe and you'll get notified when that goes live, plus all the bodybuilding news videos and videos like this as well. So anyway, let's get straight into this one. So what went down and what's the, I suppose, overall situation? So Justin Shier was a Hosstile athlete. This is probably about a month, maybe 2 months ago. They parted ways. There were reports that Justin actually signed a 5-year contract with Hosstile as well, but that was actually apparently never signed. I don't know if it's a 2-year contract or what it was exactly in the end, but I believe it was a shorter term deal that was actually signed. I might be wrong on that.
Is Justin Shier still has about 3 months left on his contract, but we have had a discussion, and because I love what Justin is doing for the company and I love what he stands for and I love his attention to detail when it comes to training, and I love his passion for his career, we've actually re-signed Justin to a 5-year deal.
So please correct me in the comments if I am wrong on that. But it seems like Justin wasn't happy at Hosstile and he decided to approach Fouad. They mutually decided to part ways and end the contract early, which, you know, seemed all good. Fouad put out a video. I'll put that up in a second as well, just so you guys can see what he actually said in his video statement, where another athlete as well, Nate Epler, and Hosstile parted ways as well, but Nate Epler's contract came to an end. They couldn't work out a deal and he sort of went his own way. So there has been multiple athletes as well over time that have left Hosstile, which, you know, it happens. You know, people leave companies. I was formerly of Hosstile. They were my first sponsor on Desktop Bodybuilding. So that ended. You know, obviously Brett Wilkin, who's now on the podcast, he was with Hosstile. Nathan Diasho, who's on the podcast as well, he was also with Hosstile, and we also have had Nick Walker and others on the podcast too. And many people have said this is like Desktop Bodybuilding and Bodybuilding University has all the B grade Hosstile guys or former Hosstile guys. It's more just that Fouad has a ton of great guys and great personalities on his podcast, and he does a tremendous job with that podcast, no doubt. And that's why it is so popular, and that's why it gets so many views. But anyway, Justin was with Hosstile. He's no longer with Hosstile. He did sign on with HD Muscle, which is obviously, you know, Dorian Hamilton's company over there, and they do an amazing job. And I've also been with HD Muscle as well. So I've got experience with Hosstile and HD Muscle. But anyway, let's get back to it. So apparently Justin sent Fouad a message prior to the Toronto Pro Super Show where both these guys were going to be there. Obviously Justin now with HD Muscle, and Fouad obviously with Hosstile, which is his company. So what Nick Trigilli, or Trick Facility, because I don't know if his name's banned here on YouTube, what he put out on Instagram, he did some great reporting. He basically put out that Justin messaged him prior to that show, and then he also said that at the show, when Justin actually went up to Fouad, he held his hand out to shake his hand, and Fouad said, and I quote, "I have nothing to say to you." I don't know if anything else was said after that. I don't know if things extended more, but apparently Justin sort of went on and just sort of enjoyed the 2023 Toronto Pro Super Show. So if nothing else was said, it comes across as really disingenuous, saying, you know, talking about friendship and still wanting to be friends and still wanting to have him back on bro chat.
So, like I said before, Justin is a very close friend. I wish him the best. I hope that wherever he goes, he's happy. And I hope that me and him can remain friends and he remains on the podcast and we can have a good laugh like always and just move past this thing. Business is business and friendships are friendships, and I don't want to see that friendship go anywhere. And I wish him the best, and that's really it.
And things like that. And he said the same thing about Nick Walker too, who was previously of Hosstile and also left Hosstile and signed with HD Muscle. So Justin has sort of, in a way, followed in those same footsteps. Obviously not copying Nick for any particular reason, I don't believe, but the same thing was said. He was happy to have Nick back on Bro Chat and all the other podcasts that they do, but Nick has not taken Fouad up on that, and perhaps, there are reasons for that. And I don't believe Justin will be taking Fouad up on that anytime soon, at least anyway. So why did Fouad actually do this? And why did he not shake Justin's hand and then say, I've got nothing to say to you? And who knows, maybe more was said. Now, was he pissed that Justin left Hosstile because they signed a 5-year contract and then that was never actually signed? Potentially. I mean, maybe that Fouad wanted Justin to sign a 5-year contract. Maybe Fouad said that he'd signed a 5-year contract when that wasn't the case. It seemed like that was what happened, at least anyway. So maybe he's pissed that after, announcing a 5-year contract and then Justin deciding to leave, it doesn't look great on Hosstile in any particular way. So that's reason number one. Number two, Justin Shier is looking so damn good right now, ahead of his pro debut. He's obviously with Hosstile for a bit, when he wasn't competing as well. So Fouad has obviously invested this, time or money or whatever. I don't know what the contract terms were or anything like that. And then for Justin to leave during his first prep or at the start of his first prep for his first pro debut show. So Fouad really isn't getting the most out of his money, or at least of what he spent. That could potentially be another reason as to why Fouad is not happy, because look at these latest update pictures by Justin Shier. He's looking crazy, and I think he's going to be an absolute star in this industry, because even though he's a little bit older, he's into his 30s. I'm not sure exactly Justin's age right now, but his muscle is fresh. He's got a tiny waist, round quads. Really, he's not missing anything. So Justin has done his homework. He's working with Matt Jansen, who's a phenomenal coach. He's obviously brought guys in really, really good, like Brett Wilkin, Nick Walker, tons of names that he's worked with at this point. But maybe that's one of the reasons as to why Fouad did this and did not want to shake Justin's hand. Another one, and the big one, and the one that you can see multiple people mentioning right now on Instagram and everywhere I look, is the fact that he signed with HD Muscle. HD Muscle is obviously owned by Dorian Hamilton and his brother, and maybe multiple other people too. I don't know the exact terms of who owns that company, but they're based out of Canada. Now, Hosstile is a US company. I'm not actually sure about HD Muscle, but technically Hosstile is a US company, but we know Fouad and his brother and all those people that have a stake in Hosstile are based in Canada. And obviously HD Muscle based in Canada. Hosstile Vest, I believe Fouad's talked about starting his own gym. The guys from HD Muscle, they have Pure Muscle and Fitness, which is a massive gym up there in Toronto, and it looks absolutely incredible. So these guys have a lot of similarities. Even their products are somewhat similar. Both have very, very good products, and there's a lot of similarities there. They're both bodybuilders, they're both Canadian. There's just a lot of similarities in the companies, and it's actually almost funny because you see HD Muscle, they have the white sort of clean, fresh sort of theme to their products, and Hosstile, while they have probably somewhat similar products, they've got the black theme, the grungier and the hardcore sort of market. So while they are somewhat similar, they do have slightly different marketing and demographics to each other, but both obviously do very, very well. So it's kind of funny to see all those different similarities. So maybe that's what's annoying Fouad, but maybe it's a combination of all these three things. So I can understand why Fouad would be like, damn, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. But he is obviously the face of Hosstile. Regardless of who he signs, he's still the face of it. He has an extremely successful podcast. He's, a public figure. He commentates the Arnold Classic. He's a big name in bodybuilding, straight up. He's one of the bigger names in bodybuilding right now. So if he's doing these things and, saying, I have nothing to say to you, not shaking hands and things like that, when publicly you put it out there that you still want to be friends and all this, unless something dramatic's happened, at least from Justin or someone, there's no reason for this sort of stuff. And to me, it just comes across as childish, unprofessional, in my opinion. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comments below. So are Hosstile athletes banned from coming on Desktop Bodybuilding? I would say no. This is the reason why. Samson Dowder, who I've known for years, well before he's a Hosstile athlete, and I actually talked to Samson while I was with Hosstile in terms of signing with Hosstile. So Fouad might be able to thank me, at least in part, for that. But I don't know it for a fact, but it has been very, very hard to get Hosstile athletes on the Desktop Bodybuilding channel. I've had James Hollingshead, but he's not a Hosstile athlete. He's come on the channel and done interviews, maybe one or two. But outside of that, it's very, very hard to convince any Hosstile athletes, or even some people that just appear on Fouad's podcast, like an Ian Valliere, and a whole bunch of other names as well. And some of them even said little things in terms of like, I don't know how that would work with Fouad and things like that. So I don't know if Hosstile athletes sign a contract. This is what someone actually did tell me at one point. I have no idea if that's actually true or not. To actually not appear on other podcasts, or maybe my podcast specifically, I don't know. But it seems like sometimes when you're with Hosstile, you're great, but as soon as you leave Hosstile, you're not in Fouad's good books, at least in some regard. So I don't know if there are contracts like this, but it would be very disappointing if that was the case, because these guys can come on my channel wearing all the Hosstile gear. I give every athlete that comes on Desktop Bodybuilding the opportunity to promote who they're sponsored by, give them a shout out. They can send that through to their sponsor. They get extra promotion for absolutely nothing, for free. So it makes more sense to have these guys that have all the branding on them to go on other podcasts, to promote the product, to promote the brand, and obviously it gets more people to like your athletes, gets your athletes more following and stuff like that. Now, are they going to get the same amount of exposure and everything like that compared to being on Fouad's channel? No. He straight up has one of the biggest channels in bodybuilding right now that has great exposure and can get out to a lot of people. But this sort of goes back to the magazine days in a way. And I've heard Fouad personally speak about this being a negative on bodybuilding, where you had flex and you had muscular development. Now, many of you guys might not know this, but they used to sign athletes to exclusive contracts, so they could only interview and only talk with those magazines. They can't do interviews outside of it. So RX Muscle, muscular development and websites like that, if someone was a flex athlete and signed to flex, they couldn't do anything with muscular development. They couldn't do an interview, they couldn't do anything, they couldn't talk to these people. And there's a real segregation between muscular development athletes and flex athletes. And then you had a very small amount of guys that weren't signed to either that could still do stuff. So bodybuilding media was really, really limited in terms of who could talk to who, and flex really weren't doing a lot of stuff with their athletes online. There's no interviews, but no one else could interview them. So these guys' exposure was limited. Now they're going to get a huge amount of exposure through Hosstile and the channel, but why not get an extra 50% exposure through doing interviews with my channel and all these other channels as well? Or maybe double the exposure, maybe more. To me, it doesn't make sense, whether it's just wanting to have the biggest YouTube channel, whether it's wanting to keep these guys exclusive. It's Fouad's prerogative. If he wants to sign these guys to exclusive contracts, and look, I get it from the athlete's point of view. He has a popular podcast. He has a popular channel. He's going to get guys more exposure. But to me, it hurts the athlete. And if the athlete's in mind, then I definitely want to see these guys on here. Now, I haven't had any of this confirmed by anyone, so this is purely speculation. Now, this is what someone has told me as well, and it's no one on the podcast. What someone else has told me, that there are exclusive contracts there. I have no idea if this is true or not, but it has been increasingly harder to get Hosstile athletes, or even some guys that are on the podcast on Fouad Abiad's channel, onto Desktop Bodybuilding, which is disappointing, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Was Fouad disrespectful in not shaking Justin Shier's hand? But anyway, guys, if you like this video, give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills, here at Desktop Bodybuilding. And anyway, that's it for me, Xavier Wills. This is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.